Is there a mystery haunting this Gothic bridge in Scotland? And have 600 dogs really jumped to their death?
It's something that happens way too often for my liking.
It's a modern fairy story, and a lot of fairy stories, whether they're medieval or current, have an element of truth in them.
I understand it really is a mystery. I've got a plausible, I think reasonable explanation for it, but it's still just weird.
And is this image proof of a spectre that draws dogs to their doom?
But she was looking at something. She's seen something because she was looking right up, and that was it. I thought, she's definitely gone. She's definitely gone.
This is the mystery of the dog suicide bridge. Overtoun House, a remote Victorian mansion located in West Dunbartonshire, Scotland, has a mysterious past. Constructed in 1862, the idyllic estate boasts stunning gardens, historic architecture, and abundant wildlife. But it's the century-old Gothic bridge to the west of the house that passes over a 50-foot gorge, which has earned this tourist spot global notoriety. To outsiders, it's called the Overtoun Bridge. To locals, it's simply known as the Dog Suicide Bridge. Startling news reports have suggested that as many as 300 to 600 beloved pets have leapt over its sandstone turrets and into the rocky abyss below. The cause of this is still a mystery. People have described dogs displaying uncharacteristic behaviour just moments before their fateful jumps, at times fixating on an unseen presence or becoming frenzied and frantic. But what force possesses these dogs to seemingly commit suicide? One woman who claims to have felt the paranormal presence at the site is Alice Trevorrow. In 2014, while walking her dog Cassie, Alice stood in disbelief as her 3-year-old Springer Spaniel unexpectedly leapt from the perilous 50-foot bridge into the depths below.
We just went up to Overtoun Bridge for a walk. It was our first time. I hadn't been up there before. It looked lovely. It looked really nice. We got out the car park, and I didn't realise there was a bridge. It just looked like a pathway that you were going to walk over. I didn't realise there was a bridge, and it was a kind of 50-foot drop to it. So we got out the car, and she normally just waits for us to put our lead on, but she ran over to where the path was, and she kept looking up at something. She kept looking up at something. So by the time I got the boot shut and I was walking over to her, the next minute she just leapt in the air. I've never seen a dog leap so high in all my life. And then the rest is history, because all we heard was this scream from a dog. It was really bad. And when we looked down and then we realised the drop of it, I thought, she's definitely gone. She's definitely gone. In between that time, I was going to the Overtoun House, and I was tapping on the door, and I said to the gentleman who opened the door, our dog has just jumped over the bridge, I said, we're really needing help. And he said, oh, another one. And I was like, what do you mean another one? He said, oh, this happens quite frequently. And then my son was arriving with Cassie in his arms, and he went, oh, he said, she survived. He said, he said, they don't normally survive. He said, I only know one other dog that survived. He says, and now yours is the second. He said, no. He says, oh, lots of dogs, he said, have died. He said, at this bridge. There's something about the place. There is something about that place. Why would Cassie be looking up the way at something? I mean, she definitely seen something.
We spoke to that man who lives in the Overtoun House estate, Bob Hill. He says it's a mystery which has long puzzled local residents.
We've lived here since 2001, so about 22 years. And in the meantime, we've seen 6 dogs jump. Well, I actually only saw one of them jump personally, but they came and got us for the other 5. It's a very odd phenomena. I don't know that it happens anyplace else in Britain. Never heard of it happening anyplace else.
So what was it Cassie had been transfixed by just before she leapt from the bridge? Alice's son returned to the scene to investigate.
My son went back he wanted to have a look around the place again. So he went with a friend. They walked over the bridge. But see, just as they were turning, the friend kind of looked up and he went, look. And when Thomas looked up, there was a figure at the window, a very Victorian looking figure of a lady wearing like an old-fashioned white wedding gown. It's not the first time this woman's been seen. There is definitely something supernatural there.
One commonly held theory among the superstitious is that an eerie darkness descended upon the area following the passing of the owner of the estate, Baron Overtoun, back in 1908. Legend has it that the bereaved Lady Overtoun would wander the bridge aimlessly, bereft over her lost love, before returning as a lingering spirit which lures dogs to their untimely deaths. And locals claim to have spotted her ghost, known as the White Lady, at the window to the ancient castle. One visitor to the site took this picture, which many have claimed holds the image of a spectre. Could the ghost of Lady Overtoun really be haunting the area? Is her melancholy the cause behind the sinister goings-on? What do locals say about the White Lady? And is this bridge really as haunted as it sounds?
Having lived here since, 22 years, and it's not haunted for us, but people have their ideas, and we have lots of local people who have lots of theories. I guess it's possible. I've just not seen it, and I've probably seen more supernatural than most people in their lifetime had.
But if it's not the White Lady leading dogs to their death, is there a more rational explanation for the phenomenon? Despite numerous reports that hundreds of dogs have jumped, skeptic Brian Ego refutes this.
Despite the fact I live relatively close to the bridge, I'd never heard of it until it cropped up in a few of the skeptical circles that I'm in. I think it was a podcast initially that talked about the phenomenon, and from that point you go and have a look around and see what type of information there is online about it. In the vast majority of cases, that sort of takes you in the direction of tabloid newspaper reports that are considerably overhyping what they perceive to be this phenomenon. Those numbers are, to the best of our knowledge, completely fabricated. There's no evidence whatsoever that 600 dogs have died. That particular number of 600, right, resulted from that initial report of 50, which was unconfirmed, and then a following report which mentioned 1 per month, right? And then somebody in a specific tabloid newspaper took the number 50 and multiplied it by 12 per month and got the number 600. There's nobody standing at that bridge with a clicker, right, every time a dog jumps off, right? We know it has happened a non-zero number of times, right? Some of those aforementioned articles will be interviewing an individual whose dog has jumped, right? And you can see like maybe 1, 2, 3 where that has happened. If anyone can point me to that list of 50 or that list of 600, I'll happily change my mind. But to the best of my knowledge, it does not exist.
And even Bob Hill is skeptical about the accuracy of these figures.
I know there's rumors that 500 dogs have jumped, and that's kind of ridiculous because at the early stages of this house, people weren't allowed on this property. This was private. My guess is that people have over exaggerated, maybe.
So why has this mystery captured the imaginations of people around the globe? Several theories have been proposed to explain this doggy death trap, but the exact cause remains unconfirmed, leaving many to speculate about the strange phenomenon.
The bridge, when you see it, it is has kind of high walls. They're about 1 meter high, and they're kind of cambered on top. And so I think long-nosed dogs smell something. We had Britain's foremost tracker come, and he laid all these things out there to get the footprints and stuff, and discovered there's a family of mink that run under the bridge periodically, and they have a very strong musk. And so his theory was that the dogs catch a whiff of that on a certain day, and when they're there, and they get curious and they jump up and they just tumble over. They're not trying to off themselves or anything like that.
Canine behaviourist Dr. David Sands also refutes the idea that dogs actually have the capacity to take their own life.
Can dogs commit suicide? No. It's a humanisation. It's anthropomorphic to think that they can premeditate, that they can have irrational thinking. Oh, you know, the world's terrible. I've got separation anxiety. I'm going to jump off this bridge. That's ridiculous. They don't have frontal lobes, as my dog here proves. She can't switch perspectives. She can only think like a dog.
And David even went to the Overtoun Bridge to investigate for himself.
So I went and looked at the bridge, but the first thing that struck me is, first of all, the topography. It's a very unusual bridge in the sense of where it is. It goes from level ground, rural, nice walk, to a sudden chasm that's a 50-foot drop. So it's a gorge. Also, I looked at the structure, the stone, very thick sandstone. These turrets, very teasing. People tended to go into them and look over, and that's where the dogs jumped from. So we worked on that. And my end result was, it's misadventure. It's not suicide.
It's not a definitive explanation, and David himself admits he believes it's a combination of factors that causes dogs to jump. But it's a little more comforting than the idea of a haunted bridge which forces happy pets to take their own life. But some people like Alice remain convinced all is not as it seems.
I mean, they've come out with lots of stories of, you know, scents in the air and things like that. There's something about the place. My opinion on it, and I can only go with my opinion, my experience, and nobody can really tell me otherwise, because it's me that went through it with my dog, and I know for a fact that there was a paranormal, there was something definitely unexplained there.
In a land rife with superstitions, myths and monsters, Scotland is the land of the Loch Ness legend after all. The bridge has been at the centre of an enduring mystery that's baffled experts and locals alike. But is this phenomenon unique to Overtoun?
My take on this is, it's a modern fairy story. And a lot of fairy stories, whether they're medieval or current, have an element of truth in them. So dogs did jump. We don't know the exact numbers or within the decades. But the people in the Far East, in America, all those who like conspiracy theories, mysteries, the supernatural, they love this story.
I think there's a couple of things to note there about, like, why have dogs jumped off this bridge. The first thing to do, if you want to ruin your Google search history, please be my guest, I've done this. You can search for dog jump bridge death minus Overtoun, and that's going to give you lots of results of other dogs who've jumped from other bridges. It's something that happens way too often for my liking, but the simple fact is, if a dog is not on their lead, they can be unpredictable. Any dog owner will tell you that, at least the realistic ones, right? There's well-trained ones, obviously, that won't, but a dog at any point off a leash can run off. It's not outside of the realms of possibility. The dog might hear something, smell something, see something, and decide to go jumping up on that wall, not realizing there's a large drop on the other side.
I understand it really is a mystery. I mean, it's just like, I've got a plausible, I think reasonable explanation for it, but it's still just weird.
Well, that's their opinion, really, at the end of the day, you know, and they're entitled to their opinion, just like I'm entitled to mine. You know, I can only go on my view and my experience. I would never force that on anybody else. All I would say is, whether you believe it or not, please have your dog on the lead when you walk over there.